Hi students, my name is Sunana. Welcome to Learning Social Studies again. Students, today we are going to learn the first war of Indian independence. I hope you have revised all the previous chapters and you are doing very well with your preparation. Students, as we always learn, we should first know what are the topics we are going to learn in the chapter and then we will begin learning the chapter. So, in this lesson we will learn why was this first war of Indian independence fought, like what was the reason, then was there an immediate incident that happened that led to such a big war, then we will learn about scope or how far, where all in India was this mutiny fought. Finally, because it failed, we will try and understand why it failed and also the result of this entire mutiny. Before we go into learning the chapter, students, a little background. So, for Indians, this is called the first war of Indian independence because they came together to remove or to protest against the British rule in India. And from the British point of view, this is called the Sepoy Mutiny. Sepoy means soldiers. So, the soldiers no more wanted to work in the army. They were Indians. They didn't want to work in the army as the British. So, they fought against the British. So, the British called this the protest of the soldiers or the Sepoy Mutiny. Okay, now let's begin learning the chapter. So, what did the British do? We all have learned, they wanted to have political supremacy on the whole of India. So, they introduced subsidiary alliance. They introduced doctrine of lapse. A quick recap, what is subsidiary alliance and what is doctrine of lapse? Subsidiary alliance was a military protection agreement between the East India Company and the Indian states, the conditions of which we studied in the previous chapter. What was doctrine of lapse? If an Indian ruler did not have their own son or daughter, or own natural heir who could take over the kingdom after their death, this kingdom was taken over by the British. So, they did not have a natural heir and the English East India Company did not let the adopted child to succeed the kingdom. In such a case, they took away the kingdom. That was doctrine of lapse. So, these were the two policies through which the British occupied a lot of territories in India. This made a lot of Indians very unhappy. People were also upset with the way the British was administering the country. So, all of this unhappiness resulted in a protest. In which year? In the year 1857. Is the year important from the examination point of view? Yes, very, very important. Many of the Indian historians term this as the first Indian freedom struggle, but the English historians termed it as the Sepoy Mutiny. The reason for both I have explained at the beginning of the chapter. You must learn this for 1 mark from examination point of view. What did the English historians term this as? What did the Indian historians term this as? Okay, a very easy way to remember, we are studying history from the point of view of Indian historians. So, in your textbook, the name is the First War of Indian Independence. So, the opposite is the Sepoy Mutiny, which is from the point of view of British historians. Easy way to remember for your exam. Now, students, let us discuss the reasons for the first Indian freedom struggle. Will you get this question in your exam? Yes, it's almost asked every year. They would ask, state the political reasons, state the administrative reasons, state the immediate cause. They can ask from any point of view, or they can just generally ask, state all the reasons for the first war of Indian independence. So, you must learn to write this answer in detail as well. Let us start discussing the political reasons. First one. Because of doctrine of lapse, a lot of Indian kings had lost their kingdoms and they were very unhappy about it. As a result of this policy in particular, Satara, Jaipur, Jhansi, Udaipur and many other states became a part of the British Empire. You must know at least 3 such names compulsorily from examination point of view. Easy way to remember, Jhansi, because you always see when Jhansi ki Rani or the Queen of Jhansi is fighting the first war of Indian independence, her child is tied across her shoulder because she was not allowed to become the queen because it was her adopted child who was to become the king. So she fought this war. So you can remember Jhansi very easily. Others are simple, Jaipur, Udaipur, Purpur, easy to remember. Dalhousie abolished the kingship of Tanjavur and Carnatic Nawabs as well. So the first political reason was doctrine of lapse. The second political reason was the British dethroned. Dethroned means removed them from the position of a ruler or a king. The British dethroned Mughal kings and many other kings. As a result, many soldiers depended. Now, soldiers used to work for this king in their army. Now, they became unemployed. So, this was also a reason for protest because now these soldiers have no job to do. Now, let's look at the economic reasons. Students, and political reasons, we only had 3. The doctrine of lapse, the kingship of Tanjavur and Nawabs being taken away, and lastly the Mughal rulers, because they were dethroned, a lot of soldiers were unemployed. These 3 points you must learn with all the perfect keywords from examination point of view. Write so that you get adequate practice. Now let's look at economic reasons. Economic reasons are mainly related to money. Did people become poorer? Did people lose jobs? Was there unemployment? Let us look at it. Due to the development of industrialization in England, Indian handicrafts and industries diminished. Now you can imagine there's an industry in England. They are making shirts and all shirts are same in quality. There is no mistake here or there because it's being made by a machine and it is also so much cheaper. So will people prefer to still pay more money and buy Indian goods made by Indian craftsmen? No. So a lot of craftsmen lost their jobs and the demand for their products diminished means decreased. The Indian handicrafts became financially pathetic. So they had a lot of losses because they did not have so many people buying anymore. The British also levied high customs. What is the meaning of high customs? Custom is a kind of tax paid when a product has to be sold in a country outside of the home country. Let's say I am running an export of handmade toys and these are being sold in the country of England. So from India, I am sending this to England. Now when it is being sold at England, there is a tax to be paid because it's come from outside of England. Customs is the name of this tax. So the British kept the customs tax very high. It was so high that it was very expensive for Indian goods to enter the European market. So they could not withstand and they faced a lot of losses. There was also the zamindari system because of which the farmers were exploited as the demand for taxes was so high. And the land tax collection rights awarded to talukdars were withdrawn and they were given to the zamindars. So a lot of talukdars as well at the taluk level, they lost their source of income. By forming the Inam Commission, Inam lands were also withdrawn. What is Inam? What is this Inam land? Let us discuss. So in the Mughal Empire, when the king used to rule, he had prime minister, he had treasurer, he had soldier, he had chief of command and so many other people who worked for him. Now there was no system of coins or currency through which they would give salary. They would give them lands. large tracts of land. Let's say the whole of Bangalore was given as a land or a Inam. So a portion of land was called Inam. This piece of land and whatever tax, whatever crop that grew, everything belonged to that prime minister or that treasurer or that chief of king. Students, what is this Inam land? Inam means gift. Okay. So there were so many officials who used to work with the king. And if the king was really happy, he would gift them land. Such land was called Inam land. A lot of farmers in India used to work on these Inam lands. Okay. And the British formed Inam Commission and took away all of these lands. Because of this, the farmers, they felt very insulted. So they also joined the protest. So students, in economic causes, we learned how the Indian handicraftsmen were affected. We learned how zamindari system affected the farmers, how talukdar lost their land tax rights. We also learned about the Inam Commission. For 1 mark, the Inam Commission is very important from examination point of view. Now let us discuss the administrative reasons. Any change in the administration that the British brought that caused a lot of protest amongst the Indians or unhappiness, we should take note of those points. So, in the chapter of impact of British rule in India, we learned that the British brought in a lot of laws, civil laws, criminal laws, uniform civil code, uniform administration throughout the country. And they spoke a lot about equality. But in implementation, when it came to actually implement these laws, they were very, very partial. They practiced a lot of bias. Laws that applied to Indians were in a different manner, and the English became the language of the court. Now students, the English education was very, very new in India. The majority of the population didn't even know English. Now you can imagine if you've been told to go to the court and fight in a language which you don't even know to speak in. How is that even possible? How is that fair? They made English the language of the court, which made it very unfair to Indians. The English judges gave judgments in the favor of the English. People did not like the new laws. So there were also the judges who were English, and they were very biased. They always gave judgment in favor, in support of the English when an English and an Indian were having a case against each other. So it was very unfair in many means. Now let's look at military reasons. Were there any causes that made the soldiers unhappy in particular? So the situation of Indian soldiers in the army, it was very, very pathetic. They were not even given the basic facilities. They did not have status, salary and promotion prospects like the British soldiers. Even if their merit or if an Indian soldier was even better than a British soldier, he could not get promotion. He didn't have status or rank at par with the British soldier, and the salaries were very, very less. The pressure they put on Indian soldiers for overseas work. So at that point of time, according to the Hindu religion, they did not support crossing the seas. They felt it was not right as per the religion. But the British used to force these Indians to go and work outside, to cross the sea. So they put a lot of pressure on the Indian soldiers for overseas work, and this triggered a lot of resentment because it's going against their religion. So students, this brings us to the end of the reasons for the first war of Indian independence. We learned the political reasons, economic reasons, administrative reasons and military reasons.